Namespace.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see.
So last class we saw, right, what are the details required, system requirement for Minikube cluster setup. So minimum 2 CPUs. So today I'll show you how to create these cluster setups and do installations on the Ubuntu Linux machines, okay, on AWS cloud. So let me quickly go and just get one EC2 instance created for me. So just go ahead, launch instance. So today there is some issues, I think, with the AWS or somewhere. I'm not sure. It's not in single click. It's taking some time to get refreshed.
Yeah.
Uh, yes.
Last time also it happened this way also.
Okay, so now what I'm going to do, select Ubuntu. Okay, search for this Ubuntu 8.20 machines. I'm going to select and T2. Okay, so what we need, the system requirement, minimum system requirement for this Minikube cluster setup is 2 CPUs and minimum 2 GB of or 4 GB RAM is advisable. So
Then
select
T2 medium then.
Okay, so let's configure here, and the rest of the things let it be default. I'm not going to do anything else. So let's go and add storage. Okay, so what here during add storage, the minimum is required 20 GB of storage. Okay, so just select 20 GB of root volume, and then our tags. Just give a name. Suppose I'll give as Minikube cluster. Okay, I'll give us Minikube cluster. Okay, some security group is required to be given here. So let me see if any security group which I can provide it here. So
yeah, Rajit, one question I have. Minikube Kubernetes is the same or different? Minikube?
no. So good question. So Kubernetes is actually the orchestration platform, right? So for that orchestration platform, what we are going to manage. So this orchestration platform is to manage, create, manage, and do multiple stuffs using this Kubernetes tool. But what I'm going to do here, I'm going to create a cluster. So the orchestration platform Kubernetes is going to manage and orchestrate the cluster, right? So Minikube is a tool to create the cluster, to create the Kubernetes cluster. It is a tool.
Yeah, cluster.
Tool. Okay.
Set up servers, it will create.
So Minikube, I will give as security group. Let me give.
Ranjit, cluster means set up servers, it will create.
No. Cluster is a set up servers. It's up to us. See, that's why I told you don't get confused. Minikube is only for development purpose, and it will create one single server which will have single master node architecture. I'm going to create single master node, not a multi-master node. I'm going to create single master node architecture. Okay. For
then why we're calling it a cluster actually? Why we are calling it cluster actually? Because of master node presence.
because we have two nodes, now master and node.
Two nodes, yeah, master and node, yeah.
Master
Got
and
it.
node will have two. That's when single will have single master, single node.
Yeah, correct.
Single master node architecture. Okay, so if you have multiple, we can put it in a different tool. Will use that time to create the multi-master. Which
so Minikube. Yeah, Rani, please complete it. Then I'll ask.
yeah. Tell me, Minikube.
Yeah, Minikube actually some generic tool, na? So it means all companies they're using it, right?
Minikube for all developments and all, they are using Minikubes only. Okay, all and also they are using the Minikube. Okay.
So
So
it's not related to the Kubernetes anything because it's just a creation of a cluster.
see, a Minikube is, you cannot say it's only creation of a cluster. So when you're going to create, it is actually related to Kubernetes because we are going to create Kubernetes cluster for Kubernetes.
Okay.
So
Okay. Okay.
when you use Minikube, the Kubernetes clusters will get created along with the Kubernetes will get installed along with. It is only specifically for Kubernetes. It's specifically for
Okay.
Kubernetes. We
But,
cannot create a separate cluster for that. So when we
oh,
create the
oh,
cluster, it will install Kubernetes and it will create Kubernetes cluster for us. I'll show you when we execute these commands. I'll show you
hmm.
where what exactly it is getting.
Uh,
Okay.
okay. Okay. So Rajit, one doubt actually here.
Mhm.
Because I had this Minikube before also. So because the that is different or this is different? Both are different or
No. Minikube for what purpose you had?
there's some creation actually. They used to tell Minikube we can use Minikube. I could not remember, but I had this name actually Minikube.
Okay. So see, Minikube, that's why I told it's a tool, but it
Ah,
depends on what package of Minikube you are using. So it is specifically designed
okay.
for Kubernetes. It's specifically designed for Kubernetes. If you are going to install
Okay.
Minikube, let me just this brief about this Minikube. So I have
Maybe different version. This version related to Kubernetes using.
yes. One second. Let me just go through Minikube details.
Yeah, please.
Minikube. Okay, so better way to search this Kubernetes documentations and you'll find lots of details and installation procedure for each objects. Okay, so okay, so see what tools we need for Kubernetes. We need kubectl, that is for kube control, which is a command line tool to interact with the Kubernetes master APIs, right? We need the kube control to execute the commands. So what is the Minikube then? Minikube is a tool that lets you run Kubernetes locally. What it does, it lets you run the Kubernetes locally. So see, you can run and separate. See here in my machine, I am not using Minikube. Here in my Mac machine, it is actually I have used a different cluster mechanism to create a cluster, not Minikube. Okay, I have
Okay.
not
Ah,
used Minikube to create. It's a different when we install Docker desktop, right? That time it will give you options to select the tool which will create cluster for you, Kubernetes cluster for you that you can use. So what it says is a tool that
okay.
lets you run Kubernetes locally. Okay, so Minikube runs a single node Kubernetes cluster on your personal computer.
Okay. So Minikube is the component of a node, not a master.
It's not component of node. It's actually what it says. Runs a single node. Node means single server. Single node Kubernetes. Just read this line.
Ah,
Single
ah, ah.
node Kubernetes cluster. That means the cluster will not have multiple node. It will have only one node, and that node we are going to make as master node. We are going to make us master node so that will not have a child node, will not have a child node. So this, if you see this diagram, you will understand completely. One second, let me just open this
Ah.
diagram. Okay, so if you see here, we have in this diagram what we have two nodes. One is child node, so don't see this is I can name as master node. So don't get confused of that. So I can make it as
Master node. Yeah.
master node and I can make it as
This
child.
is child node. Child node. Yeah.
Okay. So it is not actually called a master node or child node. It is called as actually master and node. So remember, node means any server. You can make that node as your master or you can make as the child node or
Node also.
okay. So
Node.
here what happens? Here what happens using Minikube, we are not going to create a master node and a child node. So here we have two nodes, right? But in using Minikube tool, we are going to we create only one node architecture, one master node architecture. That means we'll have one node which will make that one is master. So now what will happen? Everything, including the components in the child node, also will get installed in this master node. That means whatever is there, right,
Hmm.
this will be here as well.
Oh, okay.
Will be here. So everything will be
Hmm.
in one node. Now this node will not
Okay.
be there. This node will be there.
So there is no child node then, only master node,
Master node.
only one node.
One node. So in one node itself, we are going to
Okay.
set up all this information.
Yeah. Then we'll separate it out after that.
Exactly. No, you
So
can.
this is the work of Minikube tool.
Minikube.
Yes, Minikube
Hmm.
tool. This is what the
Hmm.
Minikube is a tool to create, allow you to run the Kubernetes locally, whatever it is says, right? So it just creates a single node Kubernetes cluster on your computer. Okay, so here is the documentation of Minikube. Okay, this is just a view Minikube start. And okay, see, another tool, remember, this is Minikube tool. Another tool is KubeADM, Cube administration, that is called Cube administration or KubeADM. What you can do, you can use KubeADM tool to create and manage Kubernetes cluster. It performs the action necessary to get minimum viable and secure cluster of running and user-friendly one. So remember, guys, there is questions you will get. Using KubeADM, we can create production-based cluster, Kubernetes cluster. We can create production.
Production based.
Okay, so if you there are lots of things we'll go slowly. Don't worry. So don't try to get everything.
Okay.
Okay, you will not go in.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll first install this Minikube single node, and then once we go ahead and create work on this, we can just go ahead and install this KubeADM. So remember, this KubeADM installations also is totally different than Minikube. Okay, what it says for KubeADM, so it is a totally different tool. Okay, what
Yeah.
it says, a compatible Linux host, definitely 2 GB RAM, 2 CPU, again same thing. So for that you need to check all these details, and you have to just install few things here. Installing KubeADM, Kubelet, kubectl, everything you have to install the manually. See, that's the installation procedure. That don't worry, that will install it. And here we are separately
Yeah.
installing the packages. We are separately installing the packages. We are going to install kubelet, we are going to install kubectl and all this separately. But using Minikube, we can install all this in one go. We don't have to wait. Okay, so just follow this documentation. Let me ping you.
Yeah.
Follow these documentations, and you will find this is the installation procedure of Minikube. Okay, so suppose I am going to, okay, I have collected all this in this documentation, so I'll follow this. Let me just, now what I need to do, first of all, let me go ahead and get one server created, right? So
Server. Yeah.
launch. So let me just go TCP. Okay, don't give anything now. I'll show you when we'll go ahead and create one second. Okay, let me create one more here. Since say KTS demo key. Please check the time. Okay, so I'm going to launch the instance now. So I got 2 GB, 4 GB RAM, 2 CPUs, and 8 GB of memory. I got this cluster created. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, let it running. Okay, let it running. Then we'll just, so it will take some time to get. Okay, just go here. This page.
Okay.
Okay, now let's go here and click. What happened there? Oh, the file did not get downloaded, right? Okay.
Oh, that downloads. Okay.
Okay, so it is not there. It got corrupted.
September 18.
Yeah, it got
But
corrupted.
18 one
All
fine.
describe details in an awkward. It did not start also. The server also did not start because I terminated. Right, it was just downloading the file. I cancelled it, so it did not download it.
Oh, okay.
Since internet is slow, no? That is it.
Maybe, yeah.
Ranjit, rain, everything stopped, no?
Yeah, everything's up. Everything's fine. Last 2 3 days, there's no rain, nothing.
Okay.
All good.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to share the status, no? WhatsApp status. Yeah, really
Right.
good.
How about the
Actually, good.
Chennai? Chennai is good now, right?
Chennai too hot. Means temperature some 34, 35 like that.
My internet slow or what? I don't understand. My voice is clear. You can see the picture. Everything is on time, right?
Everything fine. Yeah.
What is happening here? Let me download the key pairs. Um, it's only import, no export. Okay. What I can do, I can.
Create key pair is there.
Yeah, it's okay. I have already 4 key pairs. I can use something anyone else, right? VPC or EFS key. So key is actually got corrupted, so it did not download it. So what I'm going to do, so here you can see we can just modify the instance and attach a different key. Okay, so go here, manage instance settings.
I'm security group.
That that should be something. And troubleshoot, manage, get instance, create system log, replace root volume, manage cloud, now image and templates, create security, change security group, modify. No, I'm not going to change network instance state. You can ensure manage text change credit. Correct? What happens? Connect credit specific setting. Is that option? Um, let me see the security. Where we can find the key details. So we can find it here. Security is there. Networking.
Open that.
District monitoring. What is the key? Action. Balance instance state.
Key means you have already downloaded the key, no?
Yeah, I have downloaded key, but which key is associated with this server? That only with that key only we can connect, right? So while downloading,
Yeah,
I cancelled it, so that's why it got
Okay.
corrupted.
corrupted. Yeah, yeah. Not fully downloaded.
Not fully download.
Okay, then I think we cannot means find that key if once it's
Exactly. That is why I'm checking if anywhere we can
That is one type of.
edit it. So what?
Do one thing, Ranjit, delete and create it again.
Yeah, that's the last
yes.
chance.
Yeah, that is. Yeah. So,
That is the last chance. Okay, so that's
but Ranjit prefers debugging. We
okay.
can understand. Yeah.
Keep as
Yeah, yeah.
for. Let me delete this one first.
ରଞ୍ଜିତ ଏଇଥରକ ଓଡିଶାରୁ ଆସିଲେ ଗାଡି ନେଇକି ଆସିବୁ ତ?
हाँ हाँ हाँ.
ହଁ ଜଣେଇବୁ ପାନ ଫାନ ଟିକେ ଆଣିଆ ଗୁଆ ସରିଗଲାଣି।
Okay. Minikube cluster. Security. I can use Minikube touch. Okay, nothing is there. So create new. Okay, it is demo key, download key pair. Okay, now it is downloaded. Last time it is cancelled. That's why. Okay.
हाँ yeah. Hmm.
There should be some options, Bablu, actually, because see, once you lost key,
Okay.
that does not mean that we have to delete the server and recreate it. There should be somewhere
Recreative.
find it out the key, or we can download, or we can recreate the key and attach to that server. Okay, so
Okay.
that is
Okay.
something we can do it, but I'm not sure here in these options. I'm not sure. I have to troubleshoot this one.
Because it's organization
Maybe,
you're using, na? Like,
yeah, maybe Bablu, you can also try to.
Yes.
Okay, so maybe if you
Yes.
find anything, then we can discuss in our next class.
Sure. Sure. Yes.
So now I
yeah.
got my IP addresses created. Okay, so let's go here. Let me connect SSH hyphen I. It is K8s. K8s, and it should be Ubuntu at IP address. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
So it is bad permission. I need to change it. Okay. CHT,
Huh.
and it should be K8s. Okay, now I connected to the Ubuntu server. First thing, Ubuntu machine that we have to see the package manager, right? For package manager Ubuntu, I'm going to use apt. So we can follow the steps given it here. We can follow the steps given it here, like installations of Minikube. Okay, so before installing Minikube, what we need, our Docker engine should be installed. Our Docker engine should be installed. So just see the Docker engine. Okay, first let me just update the machine. So apt object -y.
Update.
So let it be updated. And after updated, what we have to do, we have to install the Docker. We have to install Docker. Okay. So let's
Huh.
install the Docker. And see, these steps actually is not given here. It is only to start the Minikube is given here. The installations and all is given. Suppose for Linux, if you see, this is only one step process. Okay, 1 second, guys. Okay, so here is given all about this interacting with cluster and all the information. Just go through this and how we can manage and create and all this. But here is a very simple procedure I have made it to create the Minikube cluster. Very simple procedure I have created to create the Minikube cluster. First thing, what we need to install the Docker engine. Okay, so let's install the Docker engine.
Yeah. So Ranjit, here in document it got edited actually. CC
Oh,
Control G. Yeah.
and after that, what we need to download the Minikube these versions from Google's. So this is actually, as I told, right, Kubernetes is the Google's product. But after some time, it made it to open source. Now Kubernetes actually open, managed by CNCF, Cloud Native and Cloud Foundation. That is the CNCF. So we need to understand all this. So now let me just download this. This is getting downloaded. Then simple things here. I'm just copying to the user local bin, and this file whatever I downloaded, I just making it as a name as Minikube. So I got this Minikube executable, but still as it is a file we downloaded, it will not have executable. We should be making it as executable. So this is
Switch mode.
using the chmod, we are making it executable. Okay, 755, I gave the permission to execute. So once it is done, what do you have to do? Let's do Minikube version. Will it work or not? Can you tell me? Will it work?
No, it's a Minikube. No, Ranjit, we just change the version, but we need to install, no?
No, because see, Minikube, this is a tool which is downloadable. We did not install it. We did not get the executable version and installed it. We just downloaded the executable one.
We just downloaded.
Using that, we are going to work on the Minikube. See, when I execute this Minikube version, it gives me the Minikube version and the commit ID of that. So let me see what this Minikube is look like. If I go to this directory, and search for this Minikube, right? This Minikube, and what kind of file it is. If I do file this, it is actually one executable file, dynamically linked. Okay, it is a Python, or it is written in Python or C programming. So they have made it the Minikube tool. Okay, so now what happened? I downloaded it and put it into this user local bin. That means it is globally available in this environment. Wherever I execute this Minikube, it will work. I don't have to stay in this bin directory to execute, because I added in this directory, and this one will be my path. Home path will be there, right? Now what I'm going to do, so we now install.
Ranjit, then sorry, Ranjit. So no need to install anything. No? It will just, if you change the mode, then it will be.
It will be
means bin. Yeah, got it. Okay.
Yes. So next, what we are going to do, we have to install, or same way we are going to use the kubectl tool also. So we are going to use the kubectl tool same way. So I'm going to download this one more. So here in Mac, actually, the Control-C command is totally different, and in other laptop, right, it is totally. So that's why always pressing
Oh,
controls is different. Office laptop is
okay, okay. So Windows Mac is different. Okay, okay.
different. Yes, so, okay.
Because they
So,
want to be different now.
yeah. So now similar way, I
Mm.
also download the kubectl tool. Remember, these are the separate tools. So what is it's a small programs. Okay, don't get confused about that. Why it is not installed and all. See, nowadays many tools, whatever we had, it will be not installable. You can just executable. You just download it by using that. You can directly do that. So when you're using putty, right, putty.exe, either you can download the putty.exe, double click it, it will open the window for you. Or there will be one installable file, MSI file will be there. You can just install that and it will be installed in your system. So that way, either you can install Minikube directly on your Windows machines. In Windows, you have to install it. Okay, here what I did is just simply downloaded it, and using this Minikube, I'm going to work. Same thing. Also, what I did, I just installed or downloaded the kubectl command, kubectl tool, and going to execute the same way what I had done for
Minikube also.
Minikube. Okay, same thing. I'm going to do it. Now let's see the version of kubectl. So kubectl is the command line tool to interact with the master node. Okay, so it's a
Master
command
node.
line interface. Now,
Mm.
so version check. So we'll have the client version info, everything gives you. Okay. Now,
Mm.
what I'm going to do, let's start the Minikube. We have to start the Minikube. So what is the command to start the Minikube? It's very simple, only start Minikube. So if you see the documentations, their documentations, they have also given to start the Minikube. Minikube start. Okay. So just start Minikube start.
So both are correct only. Your document start Minikube, your
Hmm. Both are not correct. My document has wrong actually. It should be start.
start some okay, okay.
No.
Minikube start.
I have given start Minikube means to start the Minikube. So here
That's the instruction.
instructions. So here is the procedure to start the Minikube.
Command, okay. Okay.
So what happened here, when I did Minikube start, what happens? It did not work. It is what it says, this Minikube version, and here is what considered something. Okay, what it says, there is a suggestion they are giving. What they're doing, add your user to, because I start trying, I'm just trying to start the Minikube, okay, with a normal user. With it, if I do Minikube start, it is not allowing to, because it is not finding the driver. So what I have to do, I have to do this troubleshooting part, that is called I'm going to modify the user, Ubuntu adding into the Docker user. Okay, so what I'm going to do, just add this Docker user and then Minikube start. It's very simple. Minikube start. What happened then? Unable to find, uh, unable to pick default driver. Okay. Okay. So what is the driver we had given? Actually, we had given the driver as Docker. So here they have given few more options here. So I have how many drivers you can install. See, I'm going to use the Docker engine is my driver, right? So Docker, that's why Docker is there. KVM2 is there. VMware also provides a driver. Podman also gives a driver. VirtualBox also gives a driver. But I am just going to use the driver of Docker driver. So here they have given the option, but why it is not working?
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Let's see, echo dollar user is Ubuntu. That's fine.
Ubuntu.
So let me copy all this entire thing.
start.
Now it's starting.
Oh, yeah, started.
Now it is starting. So let me copy these things. So it is a very useful command. Let me
Yeah, yeah.
so put it here. Mhm. Now, anyway, they are giving the instruction itself here also. What you need to do. So that's why you have to just try to see the error, and they are just giving the instruction also. So what they give, they add your user to Docker group so that it will run the Docker engine. Okay. So it is just now what it is just downloading the see when I start this Minikube, that is what I was telling to show you. What it does, it is downloading the Kubernetes. See, 1.22 version is downloading. After downloading, it will install Kubernetes on this machine and make the cluster. So what happens is just starting the Minikube, plain no Minikube in cluster Minikube. So the cluster name also it automatically takes as Minikube, and Docker is the driver which is installed. So in this machine, I have installed only one driver, that is Docker driver. That is I'm going to make as Docker daemon or Docker runtime environment. If you are going to use something else like KVM2 or VirtualBox as my driver or my runtime environment, then I should have used this VirtualBox, VMware, and all this. Okay, the driver to execute.
Yeah,
So now
yeah,
what's this? So creating Docker container CPU to memory, it takes 2 GB. Already it is taking 2 GB memory. Luckily we have selected 4 GBs, so that
4 GB.
otherwise it will slow down. If you select 2 GB memory, it will entirely slow down your system. It will not work. Even 4 GB also you will see now 4 GB also sometimes it will sometimes hang. It will
Lagging.
hang. It will not work.
It is automatically creating the Docker container.
Yes, yes. Every
CPU.
no, no. I'll show you. Let it get created. So it is not crazy. Everything you are working on Kubernetes and container. Remember, by default or anyway, it automatically creates some helper containers, helper system. Okay, that will help Kubernetes to create and manage. Let me see. Let me show you. Here, what happens? We just created the install the Minikube. Now what it says, done. kubectl is now configured to use the Minikube. Now what happens? The kubectl also is gets configured. So let's see the documentations here. We have to install. Okay. So Minikube installations, kubectl also we had installed it. Now kubectl it automatically configured. It finds kubectl is there and it automatically gets configured. So let's see what else it gets created. Okay, now we'll execute the kubectl commands. Okay, let's see how to use the kubectl commands. Let me tell you. First thing is like docker help command you use, right? Similarly for kubectl also, if you use kubectl help, it will give you information about the available commands of the kube control or kubectl. Okay, so kubectl create, run, set, explain, all these informations will get it. Okay.
Yeah,
Now let me do some simple stuff. I'll give kubectl get nodes. See, kubectl, remember guys, this commands whatever I'm executing, just get these commands. It will be useful. You may get questions how
yeah,
to
yeah,
get the information about node. So you can find it out. kubectl get nodes. You get the node name, status, it is ready, roles, and all this master. Okay, now if you want to see more details about this Minikube, what you have to do, simply there is a command called, now everything we are going to work on the kubectl only, kube control command, and lot more other commands on kubectl. Okay, so
yeah, yeah.
kubectl describe, kubectl describe, and then
Minikube.
just Minikube. Remember describe. Okay, The server does not have a resource type meaning.
Resource type Minikube.
Okay, maybe we cannot describe it because this.
Mhm.
Got it. Describe node Minikube. Okay, so
Okay.
you have to find what object. That's why it says the server does not have a resource type. So what are the resource type? This resource is a node. This is not, so the object type you have to mention. Remember? So
Okay.
let me do again. Let me simplify this. Okay. So if you don't remember how to do that, simply do hyphen help. So it will give you describe, suppose see nodes, describe nodes and the node, describe a node. We'll find it out how to nodes. So in my command, what I did, you can either type node or even nodes, it will give you some details. Okay, now if you see about these nodes,
Okay.
okay, guys, this is a troubleshoot. Describe is a troubleshoot command. If any issues you are going to troubleshoot with any resources, we are going to learn many resources in our upcoming classes. Okay, this is just starting. Okay, so node,
Yeah.
we are going to see about this node now. If I see here all these informations, name, roles, and all the details, labels, it is given, annotations, and we'll see what is this label, what is this annotations and all. Creation time, tense, we'll see all this, what is tent and all. And these are the status, transaction type and all. So CPU's details, capacity, address, internal IP. See, this is the internal IP of your node, internal IP of the node. This is the capacity, CPU 2, and all memory also. Capacity is 4 GB. See, memory we allocated 4 GB, right? 4 GB memory is there. Ports 1
Yeah.
GB. This is the capacity. If this node can contain 110 pods. Okay. So allocatable, whatever the allocations happened, to on this storage, system information, machine ID, system ID, operating, see, OS image, what image it is used, right? Node image, then operating systems, everything is given here. Okay, and Jitu was telling, right, it created some container. When we created it was saying like created container channel. See, these are the actually containers and some
Helper containers.
helper containers created. Okay, so
Mm.
these are the containers, CP request and all this. Great. I'll show you more details, don't worry. These are things gets created and all the information. See, kubelets, what happens, these are the events, what happened when we created the node cluster, what happened actually from kubelet node minikube status is now, all these informations are there.
One thing, Ranjit, this is the same command like we are using in the Docker, like Docker information, Docker info,
Docker inspect,
right?
yes.
This is the same command, like it is
Yeah, this is the, see
with
there.
all the details. Yes.
Yes, in Docker we were using Docker inspect to do inspections about container or any other stuff, network or any concept. But here we are going to use describe. Instead of inspection, we are going to use describe. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what I'm going to do, okay, see, now let me do clear it. And so let me see, kubectl get. See, remember this get command to get the resource details. What are the resources available in the cluster? Okay, so I'm going to suppose, then you have to provide the resource name or object name. So get, I'm going to see about the pods. No resource found in the default namespace. So let's get namespace. Or okay, so you will get confused about what is this pods, what is this namespace and all, right? So now we are going to
Mhm.
learn about this pods, namespace and all. Don't get confused. So this namespace, when we install this Kubernetes cluster, right, Minikube cluster, when you install this Kubernetes, by default it will create these 4 namespace. Okay, remember this kube public, kube system, default and all. So we'll see more details about this namespace and all. So let's first see what is the namespace. Okay, what is the namespace?
Ranjit, namespace, is it like related to development? Like this namespace means with this space, this will exist. Is that correct?
Exactly, exactly. That is
Okay, okay, okay. It's related to development. Yeah.
exactly. This is so because we are going to create a space where we are going to put
Uh,
all our objects and all our development works there. Then we are going to see all
uh,
the resources. So it will help us to segregate the project related developments and project related pods and all. Suppose you can create 2 namespaces, one for development, one for staging. So we can create all the development related objects in development namespace, and we can create all the staging related to the staging namespace. That we can do it.
Staging. Okay.
So
Both will not get mixed up actually. Yeah, correct.
Request will not get mixed. So here namespace, what it does, namespace are see namespaces are intended for use and environments with many users spread across multiple teams or projects. Okay, so they have just explained what happens. Namespace provides a scope for names of resources need to be unique within a namespace. So whatever namespace you create, that should be all the objects whatever you are creating should be unique there. Okay, it should be unique there. So
Uh-huh.
namespaces are a way to divide cluster resources between multiple users. Let's see, we'll discuss more on this namespace and all. So here is the command. So that is the command which I used. So I used what? Kubectl get ns. I used kubectl get ns. So ns is the short form of namespace. Ns is the short form of I used ns. So if I use same thing also,
Okay.
kubectl get namespace, because it is
Namespace. Yeah.
too big to type, right? So instead I can just type ns. The same thing it will give. Okay, so okay, now so let's understand more details about these namespaces. So what is the default namespace, what is this kube node release, what is this public and all. What is the default namespace? Default namespace for objects with no other namespace. Like if you are not going to specify your object or resource put in a separate area or separate space, you don't have to specify anything. Simply create the object or create the resource. What will happen? By default, it will go into the default namespace. By default, it will go to the default namespace, this namespace. Okay. Now, if we are going to create anything specifically for development area, what we can do? We can create a namespace. So, what is the command to create a namespace? We can create kubectl create command. It's very simple, guys. Very simple commands. You can easily remember. Okay, you can
Yeah.
easily
Yeah.
remember. Kubectl create. Okay, and you can use namespace. Okay, suppose I'm going
Then
to
name.
create a dev namespace. So what happened here? Namespace is created. So this is the
Created.
one way to simply create the namespace dev. Okay, so one way to simply, but another way we'll see by writing our YAML file. Okay, let me open my
Okay.
document where I have explained everything. Let me recreate this. So what I'm going to do, let's see about the discuss about the objects and all. Okay, this is replica sets. Okay, what is namespace? Namespace are a way to divide cluster. Whatever I just saw, it's just kept it here. Namespace cannot be nested inside one another, and each Kubernetes resource can only be one in namespace. When we create the cluster, by default, it creates all these things, right? Everything, whatever I just showed you. So by default, if you give kubectl get pods, will display pods from the default namespace. So same thing I have given it here. So if we see this, see, here is a YAML file which is for creating the namespace. So directly we can create whatever I used, kubectl create namespace dev. Okay, if I,
command level.
yeah, if I use kubectl get ns, so now we have our dev namespaces there. So let me create one more, like kubectl create staging. Suppose for staging environment, I want to create one namespace.
So Ranjit, namespace staging, no?
Yes, yes, namespace staging.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
either you can give namespace or ns. So namespace is created now. So what I'm going to do here, let's do kubectl get ns. Now see staging also created. Now if you want to see what is this namespace details, you can describe it. Kubectl
Yeah.
describe, okay, describe, and then suppose def ns. Remember, for any object you want to view, get, or anything, you have to give the object. What type of object? The object type is
Okay.
namespace. Object type is
Names.
namespace, and the namespace name dev. Then it describes.
Yeah.
Just a second, guys. Hello.
Yeah. No. ବବଲୁ ଶୋଇପଡ଼ିଲାଣି କି?
ନା ନା ସବୁ ନାହିଁ ଅଛି।
ଆଉ କଣ ପାଟି ପାଟି କିଛି ନାହିଁ।
ଜୋର ଟିକେ ଥଣ୍ଡା ହେଇଯାଇଛି।
ଓହୋ।
ପୁରା
ଏ ବର୍ଷା ଯୋଗୁଁ।
ହଁ ଏଇ ବର୍ଷା ଟିକେ
ହଁ।
ଏ ପରିବେଶ ଦି ଦିନ ମତେ ଡାକିଦେଲା ଟିକେ ବାହାରକୁ ବର୍ଷାରେ, ମାନେ ଗୋଟେ ଛାନିଆ କରେଇଦବ ସେ ଏମିତିଆ ଡାକିବ। ସେ ବର୍ଷାରେ ଓଦା ହେଇକି
ସିଏ ବାଡୁଅ ପିଲା, ତାର କିଛି ନାହିଁ। ତମର କେତେ
ମୁଁ
ପୁଅ
ଯାଇକି
ପାଖକୁ
ବର୍ଷାରେ ଓଦା
ଆସିବେ।
ପୋଦା ହେଇକି ଯାଇକି ମୁଁ ଭାଇ ମୁଁ କଣ ଅସୁବିଧା ଅଛି ବର୍ଷାରେ ଓଦା ପୋଦା ହେଇକି ମୁଁ ସ୍କୁଟି ଫୁଟି ଇଏରେ ଯାଇ ପହଞ୍ଚିଲା ବେଳକୁ ସେ କାରରେ ଆସୁଛନ୍ତି ବାବୁ। ମୁଁ ମନ ଦୁଃଖ କରି ମୁଁ ପଳେଇ ଆଇଲି ଆଉ। ବର୍ଷା ତାପରେ ଥଣ୍ଡା
Okay, hold on, Ranjit, please. Oh no, Ranjit continuing, no issue.
ଆଉ ଏହା କଥା। ଆଉ ଚେନ୍ନାଇରେ ଏବେ କ୍ଲାଇମେଟ କେମିତି?
ଗରମ ବା, ବର୍ଷା ହବ ଡିସେମ୍ବର ହଁ ଗରମ ଲାଗୁଛି। ହଁ ସତ।
ଏଠି ତ ଟିକେ କମି ଯାଇଛି ବର୍ଷା, କ୍ଲାଇମେଟ ସେମିତି।
ଓହୋ। ସେଠି କଣ ଓଡିଶାରେ 19 ତାରିଖରୁ ପୁଣି ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ଆସିବ?
ହଁ ଏବେ ବା ଆଜି ପୁଣି ମାନେ ବର୍ଷା ଉଠେଇକି ଅଛି, ମାନେ ହେଇନି ବର୍ଷା, ପୁଣି ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ଆସିବ।
ମୃତ୍ୟୁଞ୍ଜୟ ମହାପାତ୍ର କହିଛନ୍ତି ଦିଲ୍ଲୀରୁ।
ଇଏ
ଭଲ
ଅକ୍ଟୋବର
ଲାଗିଲା।
ମାସ ଗୋଟେ ଦିଟା ଖଣ୍ଡେ ଆସିବ ପୁରା ଇଏ। କିନ୍ତୁ ନବୀନ ପଟ୍ଟନାୟକ ଚ୍ୟାଲେଞ୍ଜ କରିବା ପାଇଁ, କିନ୍ତୁ କିଛି କରିନି। ନବୀନ ପଟ୍ଟନାୟକ ଏକାଥରେ ଲୋକଙ୍କୁ ସବୁ ଏୟାରଲିଫ୍ଟ କରେଇଦବ ପୁରା ଇଏ।
ଏୟାରଲିଫ୍ଟ, ହଁ ସବୁ। ହଁ ନାଇଁ ଭାରି ନାଁ ଅଛି ତାର, ଦିଟା ନାଁ କରିଦେଲା ଆଉ। ଏଇ ଯୋଉ ବାତ୍ୟା, ବନ୍ୟା ଆଉ ହକି। ଆଜି ସନ୍ଧ୍ୟାବେଳେ ଗୋଟେ କନଫରେନ୍ସ ହବ ବବୁଲ।
ହଁ ହଁ ଆଜି ଲଗେଇବି ଆଉ।
ସୁସା ପରିଡା ହଉ ଆଜି ଗୋଟେ।
ହଁ ଠିକ ଅଛି ଠିକ ଅଛି।
ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କୁ ଅଡେଇକି ଆଣିବ ଆଉ। ହଉ ରଞ୍ଜିତ, I think you are back. No, still going on.
ତାକୁ ଜ୍ଞାନ ହେଇକି
ହଁ ଜ୍ଞାନ, ହଁ ସବୁ ତ।
ମଝିରେ ମାଡଗୋଳ ଲାଗି ଯାଇଥିଲେ ବା ଦି ଜଣ।
କିଏ?
ଜ୍ଞାନର ସୁସାର ଦି ଜଣ କହିଲେ ଆଫଗାନିସ୍ତାନ, ଇଏ କହିଲା ଭଲ, ସେ କହିଲା ଖରାପ। ଆଉ ଇଏ କହିଲେ ମୋଦି କିଛି ଆକ୍ସନ ନଉନି, ସେ କହିଲେ ମୋଦି ସବୁ ଆକ୍ସନ ନଉଛି। ଏଇ ଦିଟା जोरदार लाग देले तापर सुशांत भाई फोन काट देले
ओहो फोन रे ओहो ए सुशांत रागी जाऊछ रंजित बैक रंजित
ନାଇଁ
please
ପଲିଟିକ୍ସ ରେ ତ ବାଡାବାଡି ହଉଛନ୍ତି କିଏ ତା ନାଁ କାଟୁଛି
ସବୁ ବାଡିଆ ବାଡି ହଳାହଳି ସେଠୁ ସନ୍ଧ୍ୟାବେଳେ ବୋତଲ ଗଞ୍ଜେଇ ଏଇ ତ
ଆଉ କଣ କହୁଥିଲି ତ okay so what we'll do now
ହଁ ପ୍ଲିଜ
wait charging. Okay, so what we'll do now, okay, so here kubectl describe so we describe now. Let's create one more using the YAML file. I'll just explain you how to do that. So let me create in Ubuntu. Suppose I'm going to create one file like suppose namespace dot YAML. Okay, anything you can give namespace, or I can just give either suppose test ns.yaml. Okay, so remember all YAML files starts with 3 dashes, right? So 3 dashes, and then first thing we have to just one second. So what do you have to do? We have to find the 3 things we have to keep in mind. First thing is the API version, then kind, and then metadata. Okay, so the API version, remember this API version you have to be sure like what is the current API version of that particular object. So first thing is API version. Then how you'll know that what API version I should use, right? So we can follow the documentations of the Minikube for the namespace, and you'll find the exact way how to create here as well. Okay, and somewhere here source quota and all. So I think home page multiple. Okay, somewhere here we'll find it. I'll show you next classes how to get it that. Okay, so here creating new namespace.
okay
No, here see creating new namespace. See here what happens. This is how you have to write. So every object you will find the format. API version, remember API V is in uppercase. It should be right in the same syntax, and the API version for namespace is V1. So you have to give V1. So next is
so
yeah.
sorry so Rajit, this is the first time you are creating, so for that only we are giving v1, am I correct?
No. This API version we are going to use the namespace API. So Kubernetes, this is the Kubernetes namespace version. This is not the namespace we are creating. It is the versions we are using. The namespace is created by the Kubernetes.
Kubernetes API server version. Is it correct?
No, not server version. See, API version of that namespace object, of this object, because this object, it is a program also. It is a small object, right? That object version is V1. So tomorrow if they modify it and they'll make it as beta/V1 or beta/V2, the version, because whatever, see, if you upgrade the currently suppose in this version of Kubernetes 1.22 version of Kubernetes, the namespace version is V1. So suppose in tomorrow they upgraded the Kubernetes to 2 point something, and they may upgrade the namespace the version to V2 or some V2.1 something
different. Okay.
So in
so
that,
we need to get that one. Okay.
you have to use. If you don't use this one, then it will throw error. It will not work. I'll show you. Okay.
Because it will not find the version, API version.
It will not find the exactly API version of this namespace, and then it will throw error. It will not create. Okay. And where you will find it? Through their documentation, because this is their central documentation, professional what is that? Professional documentation where they keep everything. Official documentation. Sorry, there are official documentation where they keep everything there. So now
they'll update.
Yeah. Now, after API version, we need what kind of object we are going to create. So kind, remember colon, and the kind is, I'm going to create namespace, the namespace. And remember this namespace, n should be in capital case, okay, namespace. After kind, what informations we are going to give to this namespace? So we are going to add metadata here. See, when I in kind, when I use namespace, hit enter, it went down because this kind does not require anything else, only the name is sufficient. But metadata section is a list, we have to provide this a list. So here you can see, as you have to give name, and then that's why my cursor automatically come to down of this. So here I'm going to give name. Suppose I'm going to give my own NS or my NS. Suppose this is the namespace I'm going to create, my namespace. I created as my NS. Save it. Or as for the file name, I have given as test, right? So give it as test.
Test NS namespace.
Save it. Okay, my file is saved now. So how I have to use now, kubectl create -f, remember, create -f, give the YAML file name.
File name, YAML file name.
See, namespace also created. So if I do now kubectl get ns, see how many now, test, dev, staging all created. So our test namespace is created. So that is a good way to maintain all these things, because it's a very small
Program.
things will be there, small program. There nothing to be versionized and all, because same command line you can use it to quickly create the namespace, because nothing is there to maintain and something, because we are going to just simply adding in that, creating it. But there are many objects are there which is required more coding, even 100 lines of coding is required. So at that time you
more
have
features,
more features you have to go into add, right? So that time you need to personalize this, and you have to maintain in this YAML file. I'll show you and I'll give you more details when we proceed further. Okay, so one second, this namespace is done. Okay, next class we'll see the other objects deployments and all. So
okay.
that's all for today. If you have any doubt, we can discuss, or we can catch up on Tuesday.
So Ranjit,